What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So if you watched the last video, then you would have seen that I am actually gonna go boost finally. It's only been like 3 years of making car videos now, and I have always been pretty biased about going boost, mostly for reliability issues, stories, and whatnot. And if you guys are kind of old-time subscribers or you dig far enough back on my channel, you'll see that I had a B20 Turbo Integra, like a DA. That car was an absolute turd, so I didn't keep it very long. The motor ran good for the 4 times that I drove it, but the rest of the car was literally falling apart as I drove it. So I buttoned it up good enough so it would roll down the road, and then I traded it off. So I'm giving it another chance with my Del Sol here. I know a lot of you guys are going to want me, or maybe be complaining that I'm not boosting the Integra because it's the K series, blah blah blah. Don't care. So if you guys also watched the last video, then I already explained in that one that I'm not doing this for power. I'm doing this simply by chance. Same with the K series. Like, I did the K swap not because I necessarily wanted to, but because it popped up at the right time, and then I kind of got into it the more parts I started getting. Same concept with this. My buddy Ammon hooked me up with a Garrett T25, just a little baby snail, and yeah. So thanks to Bryant, one of the guys down at K-Tuner out here. He's also a tacos goer as well out here on Taco Tuesdays with Brian and the guys down at Hasport. So he actually hooked it up really fat, gave me 2 milk crates full of turbo parts. So he gave me some RC 550 injectors, a Gram 265 fuel pump or something like that, with all the wiring and the resistor box for the injectors. He gave me an extra turbo of the same type with all the flanges I need off of it. He gave me a whole bunch of intercooler piping with couplers and clamps, some 2.5-inch exhaust piping so I can fab up my own downpipe. And I think that's pretty much, oh, oil feed line, a -10 fitting to weld onto the pan, an oil drain line. And then Brian Gillespie this morning actually dropped me off a intercooler. So now literally I have everything I need to go turbo. One of the few things I do have to change out yet though is my radiator, because mine's leaking and I need a full aluminum one because I have a stock one in right now, because I have to weld on a water return bung or feed bung or whatever, so that way I can run my water lines through the turbo. So a little bit later in the night than when I normally start my videos, but I am just out here. It's probably about 8-ish at night, and I'm gonna start taking this apart a little bit, get the front bumper off, start taking the airbox off and whatnot. And tomorrow I'm gonna come out here and continue this video, so we'll do a little bit of time lapse in here for a few minutes, and then yeah, kind of start digging into this. That way I can get the turbo mocked up. I'm still waiting on some more parts to come in the mail, some flanges and some gaskets and stuff, so I can't get too serious, but I can at least start mocking everything up, start making my downpipe, and trying to fab up some intercooler pipe, because we finally got the TIG torch working at work. So I am able to do this build pretty much completely by myself. I don't have to require or rely on any third-party sources, like run and do some sort of machine shop or fab shop to have somebody take something up for me. I should be able to do all of it myself. May not be the prettiest because I'm still new to TIG, but it'll be good. So let's quit talking, let's get some work done. Right, so it's been, I don't know, 20-ish minutes. I got the front bumper off, I got the whole intake and like silencer thing, whatever that's called, taken out. I'm gonna wait till the morning to drain the fluids. I don't feel like doing that tonight got the header off, because right now I'm just anxious to get this thing slapped on there and see if I can fit that in the first place right now, but so that way I can get a real good idea of what I'm going to be having to clearance. So I did order slim fan for the condenser, because like I said, I'm not going to probably be able to keep AC at the moment, but I will be leaving the lines and everything in here so I can get a different turbo manifold and worry about AC probably in 3-4 months. I'm not too worried about it because summer is almost over, and that'll give me a couple months to save up for a good manifold that is AC friendly. So yeah, slap that on here, let's do it. This thing is definitely not light. It's not gonna fit. I gotta take the slave cylinder off quick, just the 2 12 bolts, because this isn't wanting to squeeze up here. So yeah, slave. You guys can see that I've been leaking coolant out of the bottom of the radiator here. It's been blowing back onto the tranny. That's kind of a bummer. So I just went through hell trying to get this fit up in here. Definitely is not fitting with regular fans or AC lines on this manifold. So unfortunately I'm going to just have to disconnect the lines to the condenser, because I'm going to leave the condenser at least. I'll just put the slim fan on. So disconnect the low side line, the high side line right here, and then my compressor took a dump anyway, so that has to come off temporarily, and then I'll just have to disconnect this section of line up to right here. So extremely bummed, but you know, this is part of it. I'll have to work with what I got. But yeah, here it is, kind of all mocked up. It is extremely freaking humid and hot though tonight, so I'm gonna come back out here tomorrow and mess with it for a little bit, try and maybe get the intercooler mocked up and then start taking those AC lines off, and yeah, kind of go from there. We'll see where tomorrow takes us. No, it is the next day now, and I got a better look at this in the daylight this morning before I went to church. So this is going to take a lot of, not necessarily a lot of work, obviously a lot of work, but a lot of custom stuff here. So absolutely no way I'm running AC with this manifold. Kind of digging into the radiator as is, so I'm going to have to not only move the radiator back, I'm going to have to probably try and mount the aluminum radiator when I get it, try and make some sort of bracketry weld on it to make tabs to bolt to the bottom of the core support here. But I'm going to have to move the radiator forward, which means I'm also probably going to have to, the slim fan will take up the space here, so I do have to remove these lines anyway, as well as the downpipe, because yeah, that's not going to work with that compressor right there. So yeah, a lot of work. And before anybody says anything negative like, oh, well, don't run it or blah blah blah, save it for another one, just wait. That's not, where's the fun in that? Where's the fun in getting creative, not getting creative? So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna keep on going through with this, and just I'm gonna boost it. Summer's almost over and I have the little gold nugget back there to drive, so I'm gonna drive that in the meantime while I'm boosting this, and if I need AC, and then over the winter while I'm just enjoying the car, I'm gonna save up and get a different manifold. So that being said, I got all the intercooler piping. So today's objective, and for the rest of this video, is more or less trying to, wow, that's really bright, is to figure out how to, I'm going to mount the intercooler, try and make some brackets or something. If it has some tabs, I might be able to just bolt it up, and then see if I can't figure out the routing for the intercooler piping. I do have to finish taking off the radiator, condenser, and AC lines quick. I discharged my system this morning, had my dad do that before I left, so pull everything off, and then really I gotta kind of try and reorganize the whole front end of my car around the turbo setup. So tedious, but you know, nothing's permanent, and I'm very confident in my skill and abilities now. You know, it's just, you do it long enough, you start getting more comfortable, and I'm pretty comfortable, so let's get to work. I do have to drain the coolant and stuff really quick, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna just grab a bucket and drain coolant, drain oil, because I also gotta put my sandwich plate on. I gotta be able to take my pan off and weld the bung on, so let me go find something to do that.
Unpredictable and fades away.
with everything removed, I definitely got a lot more space to work with now, especially the condenser here. So this is actually looking a lot easier than I was just thinking it was 20 minutes ago. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the turbo put back on. I thought I clocked the turbo correctly, but I guess I basically have to have it in the stock orientation, so I have to re-clock it back, because how it sits now, the oil line is sitting kind of pointed back at the block. So I'd rather just have it as straight up and down as I can. So I'm gonna clock it and, so clock it and rotate it down a little bit. So yeah, that'll straighten the actuator out, and that should put my oil fitting more 12 and 6 instead of, like, I don't know, whatever, you get what I'm saying. So just stumbled across problem number 2. So manifold is just kind of roughly bolted up. Yeah, so my issue now is that my intake flange is gonna come, like, I can't even bolt it on. So not a huge issue. I know a lot of guys don't even run a filter, but that's sketchy. So I think I'm just gonna take this to work, have that just copied, or I'll just get some sheet metal and I'll just trace that out, the shape of the flange, and then I'm just gonna basically just make a little flange, cut the hole out for the center, and then just tack, or just put on some screen or something if I even need to make a flange. I thought about maybe making 2 little sheet metal pieces the same, you know, shape of this, and then just sandwiching some mesh screen in between, and then bolting it down so that way it doesn't fall off or anything like that. But if you guys have any better ideas, let me know in the comments below. But that's kind of what I'm looking at right now, because yeah, that's not gonna go anywhere close. But you know, this is just all part of the challenge of working with something completely not made for this car, let alone this setup. So yeah. So the charge pipe flange has some clearance. I'm gonna just have to leave the condenser off for now, which no sense in having it in since I have no AC at the moment anyway. But when I do put it back in, I am gonna have to probably just end up moving the condenser forward like I will the radiator, if anything, but not a huge concern. That's easy. If anything, I can always just you know, chop this thing off. But again, this turbo setup is only going to be for a few months. I do intend to get a different turbo and manifold, like I said earlier. So I'm going to just work on clocking the turbo right now. I'm working on loosening these bolts up a little bit, so a couple more to go. So I got the turbo clocked a bit more correctly. It's hard to tell. So it's probably at like maybe a 10 degree to the left if you're looking at it like this. So I think I was reading you're allowed to have up to 20 degrees either way, so I think I should be safe with that. But the issue that I ran into is I kind of maxed out the angle of the actuator here. So I think what I'm gonna have to do, since this is the same turbo, I can show you here. So I got the actuator, it's pushed like all the way up. So what I might have to do here is basically just cut this bottom piece off and just re-weld this tab onto the tab of this actuator, just extend it down a little bit so that way it can still function as it needs to. It'll just have a lower, you know, reach. That's probably what I'm gonna end up doing. And then looking at the down pipe, I'm gonna have to end up S-ing it. So just straight 180, or maybe bring it down and kind of curl it that way a little bit. Because I'm really trying to avoid doing like hood exit or anything like that. That's just really not my style. I want to try and keep this fully, and actually, you know what, because of the turbo setup, since I will be changing it, I might just end up doing like a bottom exit or a bumper exit or something, but I don't know. I'm gonna just keep trying to shape it because I want this to be good. I want it to be as legit as I can try and get it. I'm just kind of grabbing pieces of everything that I have in those buckets, and I'm gonna make it work. So this piece I got from my buddy Phoenix, and this will be just perfect for right here. I just gotta find the right size coupler here, and then I can start working off of down there. I still gotta mount the intercooler. I'm gonna do that in just a second. I was just trying to make sure I found this first intake section here before I really got started, and I found it. So what you guys just saw me doing there is I was marking up the intercooler. So this thing already came with 3 tabs welded on the bottom, two on top, or vice versa. And so basically I just marked out 2 holes right here where I'm gonna just drill, just big enough to, you know, get the bolt through to thread into there. And then as for the bottom pieces, I'm gonna just weld 3 tabs onto here, so that way that intercooler is not gonna be going anywhere. Yeah, so 3 tabs on here with some holes drilled into them, so that way I can, again, thread some bolts into here, and that'll be that. That'll be how I mount this, and it'll give me just enough clearance on each side to let the clamp go where I can still keep my horns, because I do, you know, just in case occasionally I have to use them. There we go. Okay, so I definitely overkilled it when I thought I was gonna have to use the bottom ones too. These 2 top bolts are more than strong enough. Like, that is not moving at all. So I'm gonna call that good. And if I need to later, like say in a couple weeks or something after I boost it, I feel like it starts coming loose or something, yeah, then I'll go ahead and weld on to the bottom those extra 3 tabs. But for now, these 2 single ones should be perfect. Yeah, so that's good. So now I can bolt this back up and then start working on trying to mock up the rest of the intercooler piping, so that way I can kind of mark everything up where I'm gonna have to take it into work and weld it, and that'll be good. So obviously I've never done this before, so I'm pretty new to all this, making turbo parts fit. But it's pretty obvious to me that this is not going to work. So the location of the intercooler isn't the issue necessarily, as much as it is that the freaking bumper needs to be trimmed. So I could probably tuck that intercooler back in there a few more inches, so I might just have to drill another set of holes. So I got the bumper all cut out now. Had to cut out quite a bit. It took me like 4 or 5 mock-ups. All this nasty, whatever this stuff is, you know, just trim stuff. I'm gonna just take a razor blade and clean that up. Cleans up nice. So now that I got the bumper all good, I already tested that it fits. It just barely, it clears this side really good and just barely clears right here, but it will clear. So now I'm just kind of working on trying to mock up using the pieces that I have here to, you know, get my intercooler piping, so that way I can kind of hopefully make something out of it. This section here is gonna be tricky. I'm gonna have to try and like curve it back a little bit and then whip it around to somewhere around here. And this one I'm gonna have to trim, I don't know, probably around here, so that way I can put like another 90 section on there. But I'll get it to work eventually. Might just take a few more pieces. Might have to order some more piping, but I'll make it work. I'm gonna end this video off here though. Hopefully you guys found it somewhat enjoyable. Anyways guys, if you enjoyed it, you know what to do. Like, comment, subscribe. See you around for the next video. So now this video, I got the intercooler and stuff set up, and I'm gonna keep working on the intercooler piping right now. Not that I'll be able to finish it most likely, but you know, I'll keep working on it. And yeah, turbo is mocked up, and we got the rest of the stuff disassembled. So more progress next video. Anyways guys, do yourself a favor for the rest, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace out.